this is Robert Jones, the executive pastor of Abundant Grace Ministries, and I'm coming to you with another urban discipleship. This week on our Facebook profile, we posted a video entitled Don't Avoid the Lord Jesus Christ. And in that video, I'm talking about all the ways modern society avoids the thought of God. Well, we got a response from someone who took our conversation in a different direction. And the direction in which that conversation went was discussing science and its relation to Christian beliefs. Specifically, we got into the scientific understanding of the beginning of the universe, and ultimately, when we talk about the beginning of the universe, we're talking about the existence of God. It's important to know here that Christians are not looking for an exemption from science, nor are we looking for our own special brand of science. We, just like everyone else, want to interpret the scientific data and come to a proper conclusion. It's important to know here that science doesn't say anything. Many people will try to use science as this word that just really stops us from considering anything spiritual or supernatural. But understand, science doesn't say anything. If a person rejects any other type of conclusion, is because they have presupposed from the beginning that conclusion is not possible. And presuppositions are something we all have, and presuppositions are not scientific. It's important that we all come to science with our belief systems, with our presuppositions about what we are and aren't going to accept. And really, that's where the true argument happens. Now, when we're talking about the beginning of the universe, one of the major reasons why we believe there is a beginning of the universe is because when we look at the universe now, we see that it is expanding. If we were able to play this expansion back into time, going in reverse, we would see a contracting universe that's getting smaller, 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 until at some point in the past, it comes into existence. Now, when we're talking about the creation of the universe, there's only two options. Either the universe had a beginning, or the universe is eternal. And what we as Christians are saying is that the universe shows signs of having a beginning. Not only do we look at the expansion, but we look at the use of energy that goes from order to disorder. Eventually, all the energy in the universe will be unusable. This is often called the heat death of the universe. And so there's many things that we look at like that, and we say that the universe had a beginning. Also, we think about cause and effect. Everything in the universe, every one of the events that we experience as human beings has a cause. And so we look at this, we look at all of nature, and we say everything else has a cause. Why not all of nature? Why not all of the universe having a cause? Now, if the universe had a cause, what can we know about this cause? And this is the particular point in our conversation with our responder where we get to these disagreements, because what we as Christians say, okay, outside of the universe, now we have to make logical deductions about what caused the universe. Time, space, and material all exist within the universe. So we say that the cause has to be timeless, meaning eternal. It has to be spaceless, and it has to be immaterial. So timeless, spaceless, and immaterial. There's one more thing that this cause has to be also. We say it has to be personal. Why do we say it has to be personal? Because if you have an eternal cause, that means you have an eternal effect. But we just said that the universe is not eternal. So that means that this cause has to decide to create the universe. And so it has personality, it has agency. A timeless, spaceless, immaterial being who has um, a personal agency is how we define um, the God of the Bible. And so I want you to take the time to look into these things because we can use these things to share the gospel with others. I went a little further in the conversation to show how if there is this God who created the universe, then he also created moral truths. And we as human beings are very bad at keeping this moral standard. And so we are responsible to this God. So, what is a moral and holy God to do with immoral and unholy creations like ourselves? This is why we need Jesus. And we also talked very briefly about how there is proof or evidence for Jesus uh, existing, because there are people who believe Jesus didn't exist, and also how there is evidence for Jesus's resurrection. And so maybe we'll continue this series of videos, but I want you to check that post out because it is an example of how we Christians can study and use the study of science as well as our scriptures to reach others with the gospel. Notice too, um, this is the last thing I want to point out. I don't know how receptive that responder was to the gospel, but we use these moments to simply plant seeds. If you remember Paul, when he was talking to the philosophers on Mars Hill, they gave him three reactions. Some people laughed. Some people said that, hey, we'll hear some more about this on another time. And then some people received the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so we're in the same position as Paul. We use our knowledge, our skill, and our talents to share the gospel with other people. And those are probably the three responses they're going to have. Maybe that responder is laughing at me right now, but that's okay. We understand that we're always planting seeds, and it takes the Spirit of God to bring about the increase. As always, we want to remind you to do two things: love God and each other.